So, how it was to work for Ubisoft? Uh, if I worked there from 2019 to, I believe, 2021. I joined April 2019. I left 2021 November. I think I worked there like 2 years and a half. Um, and it's interesting because um, it's like a dream job for many. It is great. It's kind of an interesting job. Uh, so if you want to know more about how I got there, there is another video about it. I'm gonna talk about how is it like to work in a AAA company like Ubisoft. Uh, all the studios are different cultures, uh, different missions, different basically everything. Um, but typically, big studios share pretty much uh, a hierarchical system where you have the CEO and you have the directors and you have the leads, the seniors, and everyone is working together towards just one mission, right? Um, and it was crazy because I went to Ubisoft China. Um, Never been to China before, and I didn't speak the language. Uh, so I don't have any problem at work because they speak English because it's an international company. But it was crazy. The first time I got there, like everything was different. Everything was compared to where I lived, where I'm currently at now, Peru. China is a totally different world, and not only from Latin America. If you come from America and you go to China, you will see years of difference in development. Uh, in Also from Europe, they are really advanced with anything, and was great. It was great. It was always a dream of mine to go to China, and now I had the opportunity to work for Ubisoft, and at the same time being in China, which was like it was great. I was like a kid in a candy store. So how was the work there? Basically, the first time I entered there, it was like amazing because you have all these nice pictures, like Ubisoft games and everything, and you have like I don't know 200 computers through and working on them, and it was cool. And they gave me like my own computer, super powerful one, like and basically we are assigned to a team to work on certain feature, right? And because it's a big company, you have some time to get used to it. And basically there are a lot of things that are not really related to game development, but they need to be followed because it's it's such a big company. They need to organize it somehow, right? So there are a lot of things you learn, like how do you get promoted, how are they gonna evaluate you based on your performance, uh, how you can put like maybe you need some objective for yourself and for the project and everything. And basically every number of months, typically a year, they will do the whole review of your performance and get promoted, and or maybe you get a salary rise and everything. um, and this is just the process of being in a big company. As far as making games, it was amazing because you get like hundreds of people working in one project. And in my case, I was working in Skull and Bones. So when I worked there, we worked with a small team to work in certain number of features, and it was fun because I was never in a position where I don't have control over many things, right? I just do one thing, and the rest of the team will just focus on other things. Like for example, animators and everything, and everyone is trying to come up with some features and put in the game, right? And basically, how it was for me, like I told you before, I didn't. My artistic ability was not high as other people. I had more technical ability in the sense that, for example, there they are very um, specialized in one thing. Um, some of them even don't know how to create a material, for example, and despite how simple that is, they just focus on one thing and they do it very good. For example, a modeler, I just model my textures at most, but I don't touch materials or anything because that's too technical. And for me, it was coming from an indie game developer background. It was a little bit weird because, hey, basically, I'm so used to do everything by myself. I put the lights, I put the materials, I do the textures, I do the models, um, I optimize them, I do everything. And now suddenly it's like, hey, you only do this. And what if I want to add something? You cannot, you need to ask another person to do it because he's in charge of it. For example, you want to change the lighting, you need to ask the lighting artist, he's the one in charge of it. If you use Unreal, you know how easy it is to change the lighting and everything. Um, Ubisoft doesn't use Unreal, at least for this project, so we had to use the proprietary engine, uh, which is a little bit of a headache. It's very powerful, but um, it's not as user friendly as Unreal because it's only made for this company, right? It's not made for the public. Um, Unreal is very easy to use, easy to learn. Um, our case, Anvil, not easy, easy to learn. It's not easy to use, but it works, and it works for them. So you need to learn how to use it. You need to learn what things you can do and what things you cannot do. Because when you're working in a big game project, uh, it's just you lose a lot of freedom. You can still prototype some things and you can do things by yourself, but let's just say you're constrained to the hierarchical system that these big companies have. It's like, no, don't touch this because one person is going to be responsible for this topic. You just do this thing. um I joined in a time where we were doing a lot of testing and a lot of pre-production, a lot of work. um so it was interesting because we were doing a lot of things, and at that time, uh I felt like I learned a lot. Remember, my technical ability was okay, but my artistic ability was not. So this, at least 1 year, it was really hard for me because I was trying to understand, like, what things do you need to do in order to make a picture look pretty. Because in my mind, I was very logical back then. It's like, oh, I need to create this cube, oh, this is a cube and everything. The artist mind is like, this is a face and this is a shadow and this is a light, and this is how you can create an interesting pattern, right? I didn't have this mindset there, and it took a while. So what I did was to study by myself. uh, Aside from working in the project, uh, where I had a friend, who was an environment artist for many years. He had a lot of experience. He teach me a lot of things, like how to make things look better, right? And I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from my art lead. She also teach me a lot. Of course, they have been doing this for many years, right? But um, they teach me a lot about the artist language and how you can communicate with other artists to make things look better. And there I learned a lot. I did learn a lot. Besides what I was doing, I was also taking mentorships. That's the great thing about the big companies, that they can sponsor you your own personal development, right? Uh, I enroll a mentorship uh, for creating substance designer materials, and I learned a lot there with Joshua Link. I don't know, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name. Uh, he's really good with materials, and we were like, I think it was like 6 weeks or 4 weeks, I don't remember well, creating a material, and he teach me a lot there uh, about substance. And doing things like this over and over, I try to improve my art skills little by little. Another great thing I did was to join New Masters Academy. New Masters Academy was a life changing experience for me. I used to study before, but now I could study some things and apply them at work. So, one thing I did was to basically learn more composition, learn more color theory, learn all these things that I skipped all my life. And what I recommend to you to do is that do not skip the fundamentals. I was so focused on the tech thing, right? I always love new tech. So I always wanted to check what's the new feature, what's the new software, what can you do with a new version. So I was up to date from all this stuff, but I couldn't do something pretty. I can press the buttons, I know what to use, and I think it's an important skill. But you also need artistic skill, which you cannot you cannot you cannot skip this step. If I had to start over, I would just do art foundation for years, like drawing, painting, composition, all these things. No hurry. And when I want to do 3D, I just learn to use the software. It's not a big deal. Before I had the problem because I was focusing too much in the software, and I I didn't have any artistic background. Like I knew some stuff, but not that much. And I thought I was gonna learn it when I learned 3D, but I wasn't. Uh, what what really teach me was going really back to the art foundation and learn composition from Bill Perkins, I believe. Uh, learn perspective, learn everything, everything, anatomy. Because when you learn anatomy, you learn to simplify shapes, right? It's not about, oh, I'm gonna do environments, I don't learn anatomy. No, everything can help you. Everything can help you there. If you want to sculpt a torso, in order to be effective about it, if you want to draw it, if you want to sculpt it, you can simplify it. And this simplification is extremely useful at work, whatever it is that you're creating. It's a building, a bridge, a castle, a house, um, a human, whatever. Simplifying things and seeing shapes and forms, it's what actually makes the things you create look pretty. Um, and had a whole year like that. And there was this opportunity where I could basically, we were in a time where we were testing things, and I used Houdini for creating some procedural stuff, which at that time, uh, Houdini was pretty new. We're talking late 2019. And I came up with a lot of useful tools. Uh, Sadly, they couldn't work. In retrospective, they didn't work because um, it was just not the right tool for the you know for the right project, right? Sometimes you need to decide if you want to do something manual, if you want to go procedural. Not everything needs to do procedural, but I learned a lot. I spent like months of my time there studying Houdini, and I apply a lot of things there. A lot of things I did there, I was with Houdini. And Houdini became my personal tool for some time, where I can simplify meshes here, and I can create my tools, and I don't need to, um, I don't know, I don't need to stay late working um, the whole day because I can just use Houdini, do my um, simplify my meshes, and create a collision automatically, and I'm done. I don't need to overwork, right? Which is a common thing in games. Uh, Almost everyone do the overtime, no matter what they say. Every studio does the overtime, and they stay late. And it's basically always tight deadlines with unrealistic expectations. But um, I guess they're trying to change that. But especially in Asia, it's a culture where a lot of people need to work overtime um, to show that you're loyal to the company, thing like that. Which I don't agree. I always left on time, and I always had problems because of that. Um, but the problem with doing Houdini is that they realize I was I was good at it. I was good at Houdini. I could actually make things happen. Uh, I learned really fast, and it's kind of my strong points are where you combine like 3D with a technical background. Remember, I used to be I'm a software uh, engineer by trade, so I kind of have my logic here working out, kind of. So Houdini was like a perfect fit for me. But deep inside of me, I didn't really want to keep doing it because it just a lot of pressure. Doing this kind of job is like a technical artist where you have all these things that they need to work for the game, and if they don't work, you're in trouble, and then you need to fix it. And basically, no one is going to help you because you are the one who created the tool. So it was really stressful. And while my teammates wanted me to continue doing Houdini, because obviously I do that best compared to other stuff. Uh, Basically, I didn't want to continue. I wanted to do more art. In reality, I just didn't want to have the pressure of a big company, actually. So I tried to stay away from that responsibility. And with that, let's just say that let's just say when I decided that my happy time with Ubisoft started to decline, and it was more of a uh, I wanted to I wanted to have my own freedom, uh, pursue other things in life, right? Um, at that time, I also start drawing, painting. I enrolled some courses. I learned how Chinese people paint, uh, how they study, and I apply the same, and I got results pretty fast. And at that time, I have two friends, Tina and Gabriel, were concept artists there, and they are really passionate about what they do, and they always uh, try to give me advice on my lane paintings. Right at that time, I was just learning to paint. I didn't know anything. I think I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot from uh, these two guys uh, about art and everything. And I was focusing more on painting and everything, but at the same time, I was also focusing on dancing. Um, and dancing, I dance uh, bachata and salsa, which is like Latin dance. And I went from work, which I finish work at 6, and then my class starts like 7:30, I think. So I had some time to go to the class, or I think it started 7. I don't know. Um, I had some time to go to the class, and at that time I was just really trying to uh, enjoy it. Right? It's just look. I don't want to study anymore. I don't want to do any kind of art related work, 3D, whatever. I don't want to do that. I just I just want to relax a little bit. So I went to classes. At first I only went like 1 or 2 days a week. I really enjoyed my time in the night because it was totally different from staying in the computer the whole day. And as time passes, I really enjoy it. I wanted to keep doing it, and I basically went every day. Every day after work, I will go to dance, take the class, and then go to party. And after some months, I felt like like I really like to dance, and I thought I really like to do 3D and everything. Then why I don't feel the same doing this at work? I don't feel the same joy. And basically, I try to find my own answer. So I realize I cannot I cannot work for them. It's not that like I don't want to work for them specifically. I don't want to work for anyone uh, because I realized my freedom was at danger there. If I There are so many times where there was a really nice weather in the morning and I wanted to wake up and just don't go to work. Just want to be outside a little bit. And whenever I want to do that, and hey, I don't. I just need to go to work. And after one day, after 1 month, after 1 year, you start really realizing, hey, this is not natural. It's not natural for me. Uh, I need to change this. So it was really bothering me the fact that I wasn't free. And that's basically what you get when you enroll a company. You're not free. You're basically trading your freedom for money. And for me, it was kind of a slavery. It's not the same kind of a slavery you had many years before, but it is the same. And for me, working with someone was, after so many realizations, it's like, hey, I'm like living with my parents, basically. Um, I'm secure, I'm safe, but I'm not free. So um, I will touch more about these things maybe later, but let's just say my performance wasn't pretty good in that company because I was so focusing on trying to get out. I started studying other things like how money works, how I can how I can create a business, how I can how I can have freedom in doing what I do. Right? I don't want to do 3D all day. I like to do 3D, but I I realize all the things you should do should come naturally. You shouldn't force it. If you wanna do 3D, you just do 3D. If you don't wanna do it, you don't. But in the company, in the in this competitive industry, the mindset is if you're not doing something, someone else is doing it for you, and you will get replaced. So essentially, you're like a robot, right? And you cannot stop studying. You cannot stop working. You need to keep grinding, and and I'm against that philosophy. I feel you can do much more with less, and I was just trying to get out of that situation. So basically, the last year I was just trying to figure things out, and I decided, hey, I learned a lot of things over the years. It's happened like 2 years, 2 years of working with them. Uh, I learned a lot, not only because of them, because of myself. I study a lot in my own free time. So I felt, hey, maybe I can create a YouTube channel and see how it goes. Um, but the thing is, I knew how things worked for this. I know at the beginning you only. I created first this personal channel, which I stopped doing it because I wanted to do the UNF games. I wanted to more into game development, and I just started doing it one video a day. So I knew that it will pay over time. And if you start creating your channel, if you just start creating it, you will have maybe 10 views a month, something like that. One subscriber a day, one subscriber a week. It's terrible. Um, so the idea is not focus on that, focus on consistency. But what I did was for the at least for 5 to 6 months, I was going every lunch break to record a video. Um, I didn't tell anyone I was going to record videos. I'm going to lunch. And I always went with my laptop. I cannot open the laptop in the company, so I just open it in Starbucks. And if you see the old videos of UNF games, you will see that there is a lot of noise. And the reason is uh, I was working in Starbucks basically, and I did it. I basically had 1 hour to create one video before going back to work, and I did that for several months. So every day I had a video, and every day I had to come up with some topics. And after doing that for so many months, the channel started to explode, which was a good sign for me. Like, hey, man, I can just leave the company now. Like, I don't want to work for big games anymore. I just want to create something meaningful for myself that makes me happy and also give me my freedom. And making things short, I left Ubisoft in 2022. A lot of people thought that I was leaving for another company because that's typically the case. Usually, people leave the company to go uh, to another one that pays them more, and it's very common. And in China, it was even more common because Tencent and NetEase were hiring a lot of people, and they were offering salaries. They were offering very very big salaries in comparison to what Ubisoft gave. So a lot of people just, they have families, they have a lot of bills to pay. They just decide to work for someone else. So they thought I was also leaving for another company. Uh, so when I told HR, hey, uh, they knew I had some offers because I was like, at that time, I wasn't happy at the work itself. Um, but it wasn't Ubisoft. It was just any kind of big company is not. I'm not really a good fit, right? So I got offers that paid me more money, and I rejected them because it's like, hey, this is gonna be the same, but just with more bills, right? Um, and when I told HR, hey, I'm leaving, and uh, I remember I told her, I'm leaving, and there is no offer you can put because I'm just leaving. I'm going to do something different in my life. I'm not going to work for someone. And they kind of look shocked because like that's not typically what happens. What typically happens is like, hey, I'm leaving because I'm working for someone else. They already have a procedure. Oh, okay. How much they're offering you? This amount of money. Okay. And if you're a good employer, they don't want to lose you. They just say, okay, how about I give you this a little bit more, and then you stay, right? Um, Everyone does that in every tech company, right? This is not only about Ubisoft. This is about the tech industry itself. Any kind of company, actually. Um, that's what they recommend to climb the ladder. Just go from company to company. You can either go from company to company and get like different different salaries, right? Or um, or you can just stay in one company that you really like and be super loyal to it. And after 20 years, you will have a super high position and you will get you will reap the rewards. That's typically the two scenarios. What happens when people join companies, not only game companies, tech companies in general, um, and big companies actually. But typically in tech companies, they usually do that. So that's how it left. The rest is history. As you can see now, everything turned out all right. Um, and now we have the UNF Games channel with almost 40,000 subscribers at the time of recording this video. And back that time, we only had 1,000 when I left the company. So it was kind of a leap of faith, right? You really need to trust yourself that things are going to work out. And not only that, we have done a lot of things, and it's been great. And now when the weather is good, and it's I wake up in the morning, if the weather is nice, I can decide if I want to go out or not. And this thing has no price for me. This is basically what I believe every human um, should aim uh, for to have their own freedom, to find themselves, to give meaning to their life, and basically enjoying life. I mean, uh, this was a super important topic to me. That's why I wrote the book, Healing for Digital Artists. Uh, I will put a link in the description. You can download it for free. Um, and yeah, um, if you like this kind of videos, let me know in the comments. I will do more of the game development videos in UNF Games channel, and this one will be more about this kind of topics, uh, different things. So let me know if you got any personal issue, any kind of question. Just let me know in the comments, and I may do a video about it. And until next time.